In November of 2008, 4 friends decided to explore the Babinda Boulders located in the heart of Queensland, Australia. Little did they know this peaceful yet popular swimming spot held a dark secret, giving it the unsettling name, the Devil's Pool. Despite numerous warnings and signs of caution, they were instantly sucked into the treacherous currents, leading to a tragedy that would forever change the lives of those involved. These are the final moments of the Devil's Pool accident. In a quiet little town in Queensland, Australia, lived the Bennetts. Andrew, Judy, their daughter, and their 23-year-old son, James Bennett. Now, James was quite special. At just 23, he earned a reputation as a dedicated member of the Australian Defence Force, particularly in the Royal Australian Navy. When he joined the military, James wanted to stay for a long time, balancing his military duties with his passion for research. But after 5 years in the Navy, he found his new calling in 2008. That is, working aboard the HMAS Norman. James's hobbies included camping and exploring hidden natural locations, which he was very passionate about. The Babinda Boulders were among the locations he had heard about, but never had the opportunity to see. However, little did he know that this stunning rock near Babinda, Australia, had dangers hidden beneath its peaceful appearance. Babinda is located between Mount Bartle Frere and Mount Bellenden Kerr and is famous for being Australia's rainiest town, receiving around 13 feet of rainfall every year. But even though there's constant rain, the town is still a haven for thrill-seeking adventurers, as it's blessed with the presence of numerous waterfalls and underground passages to explore. Nevertheless, this blessing was also a curse in disguise, as this very beauty has claimed the lives of 21 individuals, despite increased safety measures. Located approximately 60 kilometers south of Cairns and adjacent to the Wooroonoran National Park, on the 10th of June, 1933, the pool claimed its first documented victim. When James made plans, along with his 3 friends, Adam, John and Soy, for a fun, adventure-packed trip to the Babinda Boulders, the group only intended on making memories and having a fun time. However, fate had different plans that day. In the end, this gang would never be the same again. James Bennett and his friends were on their way to the Babinda Boulders. James went ahead on foot while his friends followed in their car, arriving almost simultaneously. Their adventure began like any other. James, Adam, John and Soy walked down the winding track towards Devil's Pool. The humid air was filled with the sounds of roaring water, and the pathway with railings on both sides led them deeper into the rainforest. The entire scenario didn't scream to be the safest, and John quickly picked up on the cues. Being cautious, he listened to the warning signs and asked his friends to avoid the water's edge. Everyone seemed to agree at the time. However, right when he did so, they noticed a group of innocent and playful kids jump across the creek into the water. They were splashing around and having fun. This sight of kids jumping into the water tempted them like none other, and it gave them an ego boost of believing if the kids could do it, then so could they. But John was certain this wouldn't be safe and tried everything he could to stop his friends from going down this dangerous route. It was no use. Adam and Soy had already made up their mind, and no amount of John's warnings or pleadings seemed to have slowed them down. They started exploring and went deeper and deeper into the creek. John, frustrated by their recklessness, wanted to go to safer grounds, but Adam and Soy wanted to explore further. As they went upstream, they discovered a seemingly calm spot for swimming, where a large rock protruded from the water. However, no one then knew that the serene scene on the surface had a traitorous side below. They had some drinks and were having a great time together, enjoying the beautiful nature that surrounded them. By this time, even John started questioning if his fears were irrational and if he was just over-imagining the dangerous warning signs that surrounded the Devil's Pool. So they left their fears behind as John and James entered the water with the rest. James approached the chute at the washing machine. The locals called it the washing machine because of its highly oxygenated and insanely dangerous waters. The notorious chute, named for its swirling currents resembling a washing machine, poses a particularly hazardous environment for divers. But by this point, the friends had already walked beyond the safety rails to sit in the churning water. They wanted to go for a quick dip, and Adam watched from a safer distance. Sitting on top of a rock, Adam felt the cold spray of water against his skin, unaware that this beautiful moment would soon give way to chaos and tragedy. James spotted Adam and swam towards him in the stream and across the pools. Suddenly, the water surged, dragging James faster than he could swim. He was completely helpless, and his strokes became useless against the strong currents, pulling him towards the dangerous downstream end of the pool. It was like an invisible hand, stronger and faster than ever, was pulling him with all its might. Adam, who was about to join James, witnessed his friend hopelessly struggling, and panic began to ensue. James screamed for help, desperately clinging to an overhanging branch. But as the branch snapped, James was swept further downstream. Adam, driven by adrenaline, raced towards James's last known location, unsure if he was completely submerged behind a boulder or trapped in the maze of tunnels. There was silence, and James was nowhere to be seen. But right when the group was about to call for help, James resurfaced again, giving them their final beam of hope. He outstretched his arm and head, begging for help, before being pulled under again. Adam, summoning all his courage, extended a branch towards James, hoping that he would be able to catch it. But James's struggles stopped completely. In a blink of an eye, James disappeared beneath the surface. Adam, still trying to help, threw a branch into the pool in a panic and alerted others about what had just happened. This was when they realized that their leisurely time had quickly transformed into a desperate rescue mission. Emergency services were contacted immediately, and James's friends guided responders back to the scene. The Babinda police station received a chilling call, signaling an emergency at the boulders. Officers and EMTs swiftly arrived, and Adam recounted the events as the search intensified. But James was nowhere to be found. Despite relentless efforts, the harsh conditions caused the search to stop, and James's fate remained uncertain. This was when the friends were told about the truly haunting Devil's Pool backstory that sent chills down their spines. Legend has it that before Western influence, the Babinda Boulders area was inhabited by the Yidinji tribe. Among them was the tribal chief, Warunu, a very old, wise, and respected elder, and a young woman named Ulana. It was decided that Ulana must marry Warunu, but she fell in love with Diga, a warrior whom she met in a wandering clan. One fateful night, Ulana and Diga decided to run away together, as they knew that their desire to be together would never be permitted. While they tried to escape, Warunu sent his men after them, but Ulana and her lover traveled far into the valley and camped near treacherous at the edge of the water. It was at this spot that both the tribes found the lovers. The wandering tribe took hold of Diga and took him far away with no chance for him to return. As for Ulana, she was also dragged back to her tribe. But Ulana decided to break away from them and jumped into the waters of the creek. She cried and cried for her lover, but he never returned. The land shook with terror and sorrow, and water started pouring over the entire area. Huge boulders started to rise, and she eventually disappeared into them. To this day, it's believed that the spirits of Ulana still haunt the area, luring the victims to their final moments. The only question that the friends had in mind was, will they ever see James alive? A day passed and there was still no sign of James. Their hope dwindled as the search transitioned from rescue to recovery. Then 2 days later, on December 2nd, a heartbreaking discovery was made. James's lifeless body floated against a rocky ledge in Devil's Pool. And so, with heavy hearts, divers retrieved his body, confirming the grim reality of his death. Dr. Bodarelli's report concluded that James's death was consistent with the unforgiving nature of drowning, marking the tragic end of a promising life. In search efforts around this area, divers often encounter grim scenes, with bodies found wedged under logs or rocks, sometimes spinning in the swirling white water. Recalling her late husband Mervin's experience, Dulcie Schnitzling recounts a 2-week search for a body in Devil's Pool, where they discovered the corpse tightly wedged under a log. The situation was so dire that they had to perform amputation in order to recover the body. The swift current places immense pressure, pinning victims against timber or rocks with such force that it seems as though they're held in place by a colossal hand. Only when the current calms down does the water release its grip, allowing for recovery. Now, following the tragic death of James in 2008, authorities designated the dangerous rock garden area consisting of the chute, washing machine, and Devil's Pool as a no-go zone. Even with these safety measures in place, careless people still endanger their lives by swimming in this dangerous area, which has claimed many lives over the years. In the end, the Babinda Boulders is a cruel reminder of nature's ruthless might and the fatal consequences of ignoring warnings.